Adjusting color. Alright, now let's take a look at the controls in the color mode. The color mode is designed to help you remove a color cast from your image or to convert it to black and white. Your preview image will appear inside of a color wheel, which contains the 3 additive and 3 subtractive primary colors. Just like adjusting the brightness and contrast inside of the tone pane, you can adjust the color cast in your image by moving the image around. Just use the Move tool, click on your preview image, and then move it inside the color circle. Moving it up will make it warmer, moving it down will make it cooler. Then you can adjust to the left or right for yellow-green or to the right for magenta-blue color casts. I'm moving it in a fairly large adjustment here so you can see the full range of adjustments. This unique way of adjusting the color in the image prevents you from making any incorrect color adjustments by adjusting colors that are not adjacent to each other. You'll notice if you look at the color sliders within the color pane, there are 6 individual sliders, but only 1 to 2 colors can be adjusted at any given time. This matches the way color works in real life and makes it easier to get the proper color in your image. Start by moving the image around the circle until you find where the color cast in the image is. In this case, moving it towards the upper left-hand corner, removing the cool color cast, starts to make the image look better. Then, use the arrow keys on your keyboard to fine-tune your adjustment. You can use the up and down and left and right arrow keys to make adjustments. This is the simplest way to a guided color correction. Let's go over a couple other options. Inside the color pane, there's an auto cast removal checkbox. It'll be on by default. It's going to automatically look at the image and try to remove a color cast for you. You can then make manual color adjustments on top of that. Beneath that is a color and black and white toggle. By toggling between color and black and white, you can convert the image from a color image to a grayscale black and white image. You can still move the image within the color circle to adjust the tonality. If you're familiar with black and white photography, this is similar to changing different colored filters over your lens. Moving the image towards a color will lighten that color and darken the opposite. For example, if you want to have darker skies, move in the red direction. It will lighten reds and darken blue and cyan. For skin on a portrait, try moving towards the green, which will make the skin colors nice and natural. I'm just going to hit the reset button. It'll put us back in color and we can talk about some of the other options. Underneath the manual color sliders is a vibrance control. This is a lot like adjusting the saturation of your image. It's going to control how vivid the colors are. Moving it in a minus number will reduce the amount of color in the scene, and if I go all the way to the left, it'll make it black and white. As I increase it past 0 into the positive numbers, it'll increase the amount of color, or make the colors more vivid and more vibrant. Oftentimes, a small adjustment of only 10 to 15 can really make the colors pop in your scene. Below that are the gray purity and the gray threshold options. We'll talk about how to use those in just a minute. Then at the very bottom, there's going to be a neutral gray eyedropper with a checkbox that says allow multiple clicks. When you select the gray dropper tool, you'll see it become selected and a loop appears which magnifies the area underneath the eyedropper. The eyedropper allows you to select colors in your image that should be neutral gray. In an image like this, we can look at the rock underneath the waterfall, and these are areas of the rock that should be fairly much a neutral color. Simply click on areas that should be neutral to neutralize the image. One of the cool things about PhotoTune's dropper is it allows you to select multiple locations. So I could select a gray that's in the highlights, a gray that's in the midtones, and a gray that's in the shadows, and it will make a compound color correction that will correct all of those tones in the image, rather than trying to use one correction over the whole image. So in this case, I clicked on a highlight tone. Let's go ahead and click on a darker tone, and maybe even a lighter tone. There, you can see how it's removed a complex color cast in the rock. Now let's go ahead and talk about the gray purity and gray threshold options. These will help to remove slight color casts from near gray areas. This is great for removing a color cast from shadows or from a highlight like a wedding dress. It has 2 controls. I'm going to zoom up to 100% and let's look at the rock up here and I'll show you how it works. In our scene, we've done a pretty good job of removing most of the color from the rocks, except they're still a little bit in our shadow tones. Adjusting the gray purity and threshold will pull that extra little bit of color out. The gray purity controls how much color is removed from the near gray areas, and the threshold controls how far away from middle gray it needs to be before the adjustment is applied. But here's the way I recommend using it. Start with the gray purity slider all the way at 100%. Then slowly increase the threshold until the color disappears from the area that you're concerned with. You can see at a threshold of amount of 25 that the color in the rock has been pulled out and it's a nice neutral color. You can then reduce the gray purity if you want to bring back in just a little bit of the color. There we go. Let's fit that back to screen so you can see the difference. You can now see how we've removed any bit of color from the rock. Alright, let's review the best way to use the color correction tools. Start off by making sure you've adjusted the tone first. Then, with the auto cast removal option turned on, if your image requires more adjustments, just move the image around within the color circle, or if the image contains neutral grays, use the gray eyedropper tool. Once you've removed the color cast from the majority of the image, you can use the gray purity and threshold options to remove any additional color cast from near gray areas, and then adjust the vibrance last to create an overall increase in color. After adjusting the color, it's good to go back to the tone pane and make any fine-tune adjustments you want, especially adjusting the clarity and the punch. If your image contains a portrait, typically you'll want to go to the Skin Tune tab right away. We'll show you how to do that in the next movie.